Simplify the following examples. These are exponential examples. Do be aware of that. Or likewise, we can call them roots, right? So for A, we have 25 to the 1/2. Equivalently, we can rewrite as a square root. Notice there is no number for the root. We automatically know it's a square root. So square root of 25 in other words. But let's write as 25 to the 1/2. Since they're equivalent, 25 to the 1/2, we ask ourselves, what number times itself 2 times will give you 25? Well, the only number would be 5, right? 5 times 5 gives us 25. And do remember, this is an even number root. So every single even number root, it needs a plus or minus added to that. So there's our answer, plus or minus 5. B, well, 216 to the 1/3, we can call a cube root of 216. What number times itself 3 times will give us 216? Or we can say 216 to the 1/3, equivalently, right? Just as it's written. So what number times itself 3 times will give you 216? Well, we know that 5, if we go 5 times 5 gives us 25 from the previous problem, right? If we multiply times 5 again, 25 times 5 will give us 125. If we multiply 125 times 5, well, that's going to go over. So that won't work. 5 is not it. How about 6? 6 times 6 is 36. 36 times 6? 216? You can try on your calculator, right? Multiply them. So try on your calculators. And then multiply. 6 times 6, 36. Times one more of those 6s, 216. Yeah, that'll work. You multiply the 6 3 times, right? Or 6 times 6 times 6, so you can visually see it. 3 times that, right? So it's 216, yeah. So the 6 is our answer. So 6. In this case, notice we have an odd number root. It's 1/3 or cube root, right? Depending on how you choose to see it. But I highly recommend you get used to seeing it in exponential format, 1/3. So our answer is exactly 6. C, we have cube root of negative 216. Notice that we can write as an exponent just as it's given in the problem introductory, right? Negative 216 to the 1/3. So negative 216 in parentheses to the 1/3. And likewise, equivalently, we can say it's negative 6, right? From the previous problem. 6 times 6 times 6 gave us 216. The only difference is we have a negative in this case. Let's do a quick check. Let's see, we have 3 6's that are negative. Negative times a negative times a negative, right? Or 6 times 6 is 36. Negative times a negative is a positive 36. There we go. 36 times 6 will give us 216. We know that. But now positive times a negative gives us a negative. So here's the reason why we don't need a plus or minus in these types of problems. In this case, 216 and negative 216, when we take the cube root or the exponential power of 1/3, it'll give us exactly a positive or exactly a negative as needed. On the other hand, square roots may not. Be aware of that. So let's do a quick check as well with our calculator for reference. So calculator check real quick. Let's clear this out just for reference. But if we have in parentheses, do you remember you have to put a negative? Negative is not right next to your enter button. Use the negative, not the subtraction sign. So negative 216, close your parentheses, open or put a caret key, right below your clear button is your caret key. Open up a parentheses, 1 divided by 3. Close your parentheses and hit enter. It should be able to give you the exact value as well in this format. So notice that it worked. Likewise, we could have done the previous problems, right? So for the previous problem, there was no negative, so we don't need a parentheses. So we say 216, caret key, open parentheses for your exponent. TI-84s, you don't need parentheses because it automatically raises it for you. But TI-83s, you do need parentheses. So there we go, open up a parentheses. And now we write 1 divided by 3 again. Close your parentheses. Once again, TI-84s, you don't need parentheses because it raises it for you. Most of them, not all of them though. If you need to add more, then you'd push forward on TI-84s. TI-83s, you just continue typing away. Let's hit enter in this case since that completes the checkup for B. And that gives us positive 6. On the other hand, for square roots, or 25 to the 1/2, so 25, caret key, open parentheses, 1 divided by 2. close your parentheses. That gives us exactly 5, but it will only give us positive 5. You can do it likewise with the second, and the x squared button on the left has a square root sign on it. So square root of 25. It will also give you positive 5, but do remember your calculator does not know how to say plus or minus. It will only give you a positive only. Let's proceed to the next one then. Remember that that's our answer, so let's circle it. D, we have a negative square root, right? Whoops, minor typo. Missed the negative on the radicand, but there should be a negative in the radicand. Square root of negative 25, or negative 25 to the 1/2. Well, for this is an unreal result. And you might be wondering why. Well, double check with your calculator. Your calculator will tell you the answer. Well, sort of. If we try, in parentheses, negative, keep in mind it has to be a negative sign, so right next to your enter button. Negative 25, close your parentheses, carry key, 1 divided by 2. Yep, missed my parentheses, so I'll go back and just replace it. Add a parentheses, 1 divided by 2. Notice it gets rid of everything else of afterwards. So there we go. Negative 25 to the 1/2. Enter. It gives me an unreal answer. So basically, we can't do it. At least not yet. Your calculator won't be able to do it ever. At least not for this type of calculators. So we say it's an unreal result for now. And leave that as our answer. E. The 5th root of 32, or in other words, as an exponential form, written the way it was given, 32 to the 1/5. What number times itself 5 times will give you 32? Let's see. That's a hard one, right? Let's try 2. 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 2, 8. 8 times 2, 16. 16 times 2, well, maybe not as hard as I thought. Our answer is 2, right? It's the only number that will give us 32 when you multiply it 5 times. So there is our answer. Once again, real quick check. You can clear out your calculator from before. I'll take you back to your main screen. I'll clear it out again. If we put 32, caret key, open parentheses, 1 divided by 5, close my parentheses, and hit enter. It gives me exactly 2 as my answer. So that's it. It's exactly 2. So here we are. I fixed the negative sign, to be aware. You need a negative inside the radicand for D, square root of negative 25.